Yeah, Vi, a champion that we had seen inklings of. Hasn't been too standout in the meta. I believe it's been picked 3 times so far coming through. Does give them lockdown and ability to try to just get on that backline, especially now that Ultra Prime are bringing out the Aphelios plus the Thresh. Hopefully things like that safety from the Lantern won't be too big of a deal coming out for JDG if Kanavi can just run into the fight, press his ultimate, and guarantee he gets that lockdown.
Would like to see what they're going to grab for JDG going into the second phase of picks and bans, but it is going to be a hover at least. And a lock-in of the Karma. So it was banned away against JDG in game number 1, missing, piloting the champion in game 2.
Yeah, so JDG going to all in on some dominance coming out in the bot lane, being able to whittle them down.
I mean, could you
take a bunch of turret
blame
plates.
them?
No, especially with how good they've looked, right? I think this makes sense. You do got to be careful. Obviously, you know, a death sentence coming out from ShiauC can just set up a very easy pick onto someone like Missing who doesn't really have any mobility. You factor Hacker coming in from behind, a Lantern to bring him in, and things can go sideways very fast for the side of JDG in the bot lane 2v2s or 3v3s. But now we're going to be looking at where they want to go for soul lanes. JDG, we saw Yagao say it at the interview at the start of the series of like, hey, Cryin really good at these supportive champions that are about enabling the team. So you can see for JDG them wanting to take away those champions specifically.
Yeah, exactly that. And we get the Corki band against Yagao there as well. A little bit of safety, a little bit of scaling taken away from JDG. I do want to see continued presence in the solo lane bans, though, because that's all we have left here. And I want to do a quick check-in before we get into all the rest of the analytics. How do you think old Zoom is feeling here? Do you feel he's feeling like a vengeance here in game 2? How do you after that first game? How do you think Zoom is sitting?
You know, I'll comment after we see what his pick is. We just had his interview saying how much he loves Sejuani. Well, JDG won't allow you to have Sejuani Zoom. So once again, your old team says
they're really going out on a limb to make sure Zoom doesn't have any fun here. I feel like.
I expect maybe JDG look for something. I wouldn't be surprised if they look towards something like an Azir pick maybe coming out if they do want to keep indexing into this range that they have. Bring a bit of disengage coming out from the Emperor's Divide, and then maybe save counter pick for their top lane.
Yagao is going to get the Zoe band away against him by Ultra Prime himself. Still a lot of big picks on the table for Yagao, and it'll be the Azir.
Yep, Mazel, sometimes it's just too no, I'm just kidding. Fits their comp very well. Again, plays to the range, something that Yagao is very comfortable on as a champion. Cryin might go over this matchup. LeBlanc able to generate some pressure, especially at level 6 with the kill threat you have with your ultimate, with just being able to land chains, combo into Lee Sin. It works very well for your 2v2 in mid jungle, and will give you a lot more proactivity than you were able to find in game 1. So Ultra Prime kind of pivoting away from that style that didn't really give them any options how to play out in terms of the early game, with much stronger mid jungle, able to go and potentially influence that bot lane, which will be very squishy coming out from JDG.
It will be. The LeBlanc coming in, though, for Cryin will be a big centerpiece for Ultra Prime in the way they want to approach this one. Gangplank locked in for Zoom. Blind into the matchup. Counter pick available for JDG, but the confidence oozing out of Ultra Prime.
Yeah, for JDG, you can either go something like Jace here, or I think Gragas, or maybe even like a Scion pick. Like, you either want a frontliner. I feel like Gragas might be too much AP damage coming through, or you can just keep indexing into more range damage coming through. Aatrox still fits the bill of being a champion that's just going to stand in front, be able to soak up all the damage necessary, and allow for Yagao and Hope to play out the game. So Ultra Prime, I think, playing a lot more of a pick-oriented composition, right? A lot of single-target CC coming out from the chains from Cryin, the death sentence from ShiauC, enabling the burst to come out from Hacker and Cryin, and even Zoom can always follow up with a cannon brush from across the map. For JDG, definitely being much more 5v5-oriented. You have the poke in the range, but you also have engage to follow up after you've whittled some of those members low with Kanavi's vibe.
I think that's the crucial piece, is the Hacker versus Kanavi matchup in this one, and in the way that kind of that early skirmishing goes. You saw Kanavi get the advantage last game, but I think this one is a little bit more interesting in the style of compositions we've gotten, right? You were talking about it, Aatrox able to be the tank. Other than that, really, not that much tankiness across the board for both teams. And I think it's going to lead to a lot more of a volatile game, a lot more big picks and things like that. But it's still, first off, no matter what, comes down to execution. Comes down to not losing early as Ultra Prime. And not kind of disappearing off the map like we saw them in game number 1.
Well, I mean, especially this time around, right? Because if anything, we need to see them getting ahead early. We need to see the LeBlanc, the Lee Sin doing some work. Hacker, especially, we're going to need to see step up, create some pressure, maybe punish that bottom side that we hit on in terms of the Karma being very squishy, not being mobile other than just being able to shield yourself, get the speed boost, and run away faster. And then if you could start shutting down that bot lane to where, let's say you blow a flash from an Ezreal and a Karma, they now can't play as far forward and as aggressive. They're not taking any turret plates. They're not really doing the job that they need. And you could start really just hammering down on that advantage, even having the global and top side from Zoom to make Hope and Missing's life hell.
There is one thing that stands out in this matchup, and the fact that JDG have gone to 3 games in 3 of their 4 series so far in the summer split. We know what could be coming. It could be a full night of games ahead of us as JDG versus Ultra Prime. Game number 2 kicks off, and we got a 5v4 because Hacker is not with his team.
Okay.
Get the backs off. Get the backs off.
They're going to find him.
He got it off. Nice. That's a lot of damage from ShiauC. He's just going to back and get that off. And we'll see, if Hacker can get the ward across the other side, but hasn't done anything just yet.
And not able to get it. I feel like this split more than most with where we're at in the split. We've had way more level 1s decide the course of the game than ever, right? We had the level 1 around enemy red buff that took like 3 minutes long to contest. We had a top side fight where I think it was Ultra Prime finding a win through a 5-member stack top, just consistently 5-member stacks, level 1, coming out with leads. JDG sadly not able to find it this time around, but we are going to see JDG have Kanavi start towards the top side, path to bot, and enable this Ezreal Karma to be allowed to do what it wants, which is that. It's press Q, hit, and keep hitting.
It's a good game plan, I would say. It's a good game plan. I'm still shaking by,
hit your skill shots.
Scratching my head over here as why Hacker didn't ward the push up there, but yeah, it's gonna be the opposite side starts for both these junglers. See where they end up pathing out to, but Kanavi is heading down this way, and it's already Hope and Missing feeling a lot of the same way they felt in game 1.
Yeah, again, we even saw the Mystic Shot hitting through the minions there in the bottom lane. And if there's one thing I know from playing double up with Ox and TFT, it's that you just gotta hit. He always flames me for not hitting. I'll be playing like Corki, like Cannoneers, someone will have a 3-star Corki at like they're level 6. I'm level 6 as well. They 3-starred, I don't. And Ox will flame me. Just hit JDG. You will be able to come out ahead. But for Ultra Prime, it's about hitting in the mid lane. We already saw Cryin looking for some aggressive trades. Yagao will have pressure early on, just with the fact you put the soldier in the wave, you're able to find the trade onto the LeBlanc, as well as just pushing the wave in innately. He did take Airy as well to try to maximize the poke damage he's able to do in that matchup. Here's Hacker.
We'll try to find mid. Yagao does have the dash, though. A little bit of Shurima movement there. But something else I want to talk about and dive a little bit more into is this vibe pick for Kanavi. Something we haven't seen come from Kanavi this split, but we have been seeing dotted here or there. It's very interesting to bring into team fights because you have the single target ultimate, right? They really bring somebody out, as you were saying before. If they're poking people down, you can follow it up as soon as possible. But I also feel like the execution is going to be a lot higher of a bar to reach.
I feel like Vi's a pick that we see situationally when it fits. I'm surprised how early they took it in draft, especially considering how they ended up pivoting with their composition to be playing more from a range. But still, the fact that they at least have some follow-up to be able to take down low-health members will be nice. Is Kanavi already angling to wrap around towards this bottom side? ShiauC taking a bit of a heavy trade like we just saw under turret. Turrets were slightly nerfed from what they were on 12.10. Still stronger than they were on 12.9, but if JDG want to go for this dive, it is at least easier than it was in 12.10, but it looks like they're not going to opt into it.
Just clear out some vision, get a little bit of gold for everybody involved, and it'll be a back completed from Kanavi. As you see, the full clear finishing up for Hacker.
Yeah, so we're going to back off. We aren't going to get the dive in the end. Hacker, like you said, just finishing out clearing his camps. Both teams trading scuttles. I don't feel like anything should be able to come out from this first clear. Cryin so mobile, it would be very hard for JDG to be able to take him down. Now Hacker coming off his reset. I'm wondering if we'll see him try and pay some attention to that bot lane like we talked about.
Yeah, and especially where junglers are going to be visiting, especially getting first kills, is going to be super important for this one. Because I think we saw last time how quickly things can snowball out of hand, especially if JDG's bot lane gets those resources. And you were saying in the draft, right? It's a lot about proactivity for this squad, especially Ultra Prime with the Lee Sin and LeBlanc coming out of the jungle mid. Here we are, proactivity though. Hacker looking for bot lane. They've got the death sentence. You said all it takes is one good one, and Missing takes it to the face. ShiauC gets first blood for Ultra Prime.
And those are the plays that you have to be expecting as JDG to be coming out from Ultra Prime, especially the timing it comes out, right? Hacker clearing through his jungle, reset comes on out, they're still pushing forward aggressively, and ShiauC able to connect the death sentence. Really nice read in terms of what they need to do and who they need to set behind in this composition. We could already see Cryin generating pressure in the mid lane as well. He'll be 6 very soon. That's where we'll probably start to see him more linking up on the map, looking for picks of his own. But here we go. Once again, ShiauC with the flash into the Flay. Sadly, the Lantern too early, so not able to bring in Hacker, but you're able to get the Flay into the death sentence, which just allows Hacker to safeguard in. You set up Elk to be able to help pick up that kill. And overall, Ultra Prime start with a solid lead.
It is Moby Boots also completed for ShiauC now. See how that works out for him as
this is why.
Lane. Yep, exactly. 369 getting baited, going in here, and now ShiauC and Hacker there. World Ender comes away. Oh, he misses the sweet spot, losing the healing here, but he's in a 1v3, and it ain't gonna go his way. Zoom is on the board.
Great use of the Moby Boots coming out from ShiauC to make sure they find an impactful play on top side. Surprised 369 even used the World Ender, considering that there's no angle where you should really be able to do anything in that situation. I guess, you know, the cooldown won't be too bad this early in the game. And JDG do answer with the Dragon on the opposite side, but Ultra Prime needed to get their comp going early with some picks, and picks is what they've been finding.
Yep, and as we said, just going to put it in everybody's mind here. JDG like the chance to get as many games as they possibly can.
JDG would like the chance to, actually, Ultra Prime would like the chance to get their microwave back, Mazel.
Yes, they would, and it's going to be some long, hard conversations that are going to need to be had, but they've already started off pretty well. 2 conversations have gone their way, it feels like, already.
Yeah, and now going to be able to keep up this pressure in the bot side from the earlier kills they found. At least for Missing, he didn't blow a flash in that play, so you can still play relatively aggressive as the JDG bot lane. Like if you have vision down, if you have an inkling of where Hacker is, if Kanavi is supporting you. So would be nice to see Kanavi find some influence on the bottom half of the map. With the fact that Herald is up in 40 seconds, it looks like JDG are instead angling to set up for top side and maybe pivot that into a first Herald for themselves.
All right, it's not as bad as last game, but I'm already looking at Kanavi's 10 ahead on Hacker. I know it's not the same. Hacker still has a lot to go.
And Hacker has ganked twice.
He has.
Right? Let's be fair.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's not the same, but I see the numbers, all right? The numbers. What do they mean, Mason? Especially looking at how this jungle matchup continues to pan out here, as that 1,000 gold lead for Ultra Prime is huge. Now we look at the next objectives. Rift Herald spawning right now, and Hacker's already this way.
Yeah. This one, JDG might even just consciously be like, hey, we can't fight this, right? We have an Azir in the mid lane up against the LeBlanc. They have like more agency, more bursts to come out from that. They did have pressure in top lane, but just kind of outpacing in terms of mid and support for the side of Ultra Prime in a skirmish. JDG are just going to decide to cross map and just play for pushing this wave in bot. Maybe hopefully get a plate onto Hope, and Kanavi just going to clear out his own jungle.
Elk going to take a decent amount of damage, heals it. Well, you know, it goes back and forth. It's a roller coaster. Let's just say heals it back with the Moonlight Visible. The True Shot Barrage came across to do a lot more. Yagao trying to go in on mid lane, was baiting out to try and see if he could get the stream to shuffle down. Doesn't come out. Hacker secures the Rift Herald.
Kanavi was spotted. He didn't walk into that brush as a control ward on the bottom half.
Barrage.
So for Ultra Prime, they know exactly where Kanavi is. Like you're saying, Cannon Barrage coming down and making sure that JDG can't get too much. So it looks like it will only be that 2 plates. Let's go, JDG.
That's actually pretty big because there's a CS differential growing in the bottom lane as well. Hope and Missing have been keeping up the pressure down there. And I think that's super interesting to kind of keep a side eye on.
Yeah, and we got to remember that ShiauC has now roamed top twice, right?
Moby
Made the
Boots.
earlier play to be able to go and find the gank onto 369. And they just spent a bunch of time topside, allowing Ultra Prime to be able to take that Rift Herald. So that's what's starting to bring this CS lead so heavily in the favor of JDG is that they're just playing 4 different things, right? JDG and missing, Hope and Missing are actually playing for the bot lane 2v2. It's where we know ShiauC is playing much more for the team advantage across the map.
How do we feel about this Zoom versus 369 matchup now into the second game? Right? I was asking you in the draft, how do you feel like Zoom feels after that first game, especially all the focus towards him? But looking specifically at the Gangplank versus the Aatrox, after we see Elk maybe getting engaged on here, as Kanavi not going to commit there. But I do want to go back to that conversation because Zoom starting to get pretty ahead in the matchup.
Yeah, I feel like this matchup's completely fine for the Gangplank. I mean, you can trade pretty aggressively with your parlay, very low cooldown. You have the grass, which you can proc pretty consistently. ShiauC is able to burn a flash from Kanavi, so overall, ShiauC is making money moves.
What a greedy back from Kanavi, though, there. Elk taking so
JDG
much damage from the poke.
We saw it in game 1.
Yeah, we did, and it did come back to bite them a little bit. See if that continues.
Yeah, now, going back to the top lane, right? I don't think Zoom has a shred of, like, anger in his existence, so despite the fact that he's winning out in this matchup, especially from the earlier help he got, I don't know if we'll see too much happen in terms of the top side. But Hacker sitting on a ward, so Hope.
Oh, ShiauC. There's the passage
Oh,
there. Hope getting Gravitum. The flash forward from Hacker. Hope in some trouble here. He needs to get out. He has the speed from the heal. Is he going to get out under tower? The Dragon Rage kick comes out. Hacker commits his life for it.
Will be a 1-for-1, but Ultra Prime should be able to push this in and deny a wave from Hope, so maybe at least able to try and close the gap on the CS lead that they have. But JDG just thinking that they could outplay it. They saw Hacker on the ward, but still playing close enough in range, and it was just Elk able to make sure that goes down. But now Dragon about to spawn. Kanavi already looking to start this one
I mean, hey, they know exactly what they can do here with the win conditions that they've set out in their draft. It's about scaling, about getting those objectives, and a little bit about giving up bot lane.
Yeah, we saw, right? They knew he was there, still gets caught by the flay, and the fact that Elk's able to land that auto to guarantee the Gravitum stun comes through, sets up for Hacker to find the kill. Does end up being a 1-for-1 in the end, but Ultra Prime still able to force in the wave, was at least something coming through on their side. And now, with Rift Herald about to time out, Hacker looks like he's angling towards his top side. Wonder where he'll decide to drop it. You have one plate already down in top.
Ooh, look at that
Nothing
gold
really
difference.
shown in mid or bot yet.
Yeah, Zoom is topping the leaderboards right now with that lead he's got in top lane. He also has
He's
the
playing
Trinity.
GP.
Yeah, he's playing
it's not
GP.
fair.
It's not fair. He also has the Trinity Force now completed, so that's going to be another big little power spike. Big little. It is the Rift Herald that I'm looking at next, though, as it's coming up on its timer very, very quickly, and Hacker isn't really in a position to use it, but they're going down
he's
towards
going
bot
bot.
lane now.
Yeah, we saw the Lantern even thrown out just to make sure he gets there faster so they can drop this one down. They are going to opt into giving it to bot instead of maybe a lane like mid, which maybe would have been a bit nicer, especially considering you have an Azir in that lane, and breaking down mid lane turret will be quite hard the longer this game goes on. But at least they guarantee a charge in bot lane, and they get Elk quite a bit stronger. And Elk, as we've highlighted, has always been the primary carry for this Ultra Prime roster.
Yeah, and I think even with the propensity to go forward with the aggression, the Gale Force is forward, the Flash is forward, you still see that Elk is a carry to be scared of in the right moments, I feel like. And especially in these kinds of moments where you're funneling a ton of resources down towards bottom lane for Ultra Prime.
Yeah, JDG, though, starting to pivot some of their own resources down towards this bottom side with Vision coming out, but now that's spotted out for up. Kanavi just going to wait around this mid lane.
Out taking heavy trades, but Kanavi's always waiting. Hasn't gotten a chance to use the ultimate just yet, but doesn't really need to until the right moment, I feel like. They have, though, stuck to the tried and true efforts of getting the dragon stacking early for JDG. They're already too deep. 3 minutes till the next one spawns. We remember how much of a predicament it put Ultra Prime in last game when JDG had complete control of those dragons.
The thing, though, this time is the fact that if it comes into a fight for third or fourth Drake, Ultra Prime are going to be the ones sitting up in terms of just raw stats.
Yeah.
For the fact that they've been stacking up the gold themselves, sitting at a 2K gold lead right now. And like you said, Kanavi not really able to find any impact. Finding impact mid is quite hard, as I'll pause on that.
There's nobody down here.
Prime, I mean, we see Hope coming. How patient are Ultra Prime? 'Cause I feel like they could be... I was going to say, I feel like they're going to be really patient, but Doesn't matter anymore.
Does not matter. Hope will spot them out with the blue trinket. It will be tower going over to Ultra Prime, though. It'll be first tower and for Elk. So more gold given to the Aphelios. Really late game carry for Ultra Prime.
And the fact that, I mean, they have more gold on their bot lane. They have more gold on Zoom. We saw taking more place in top side. Ultra Prime are set up really well for this next fight, but JDG trying to collapse.
ShiauC is going to get the Dark Passage to Hacker, get him over the wall, and they are out of dodge. No worse for wear on that one. Scuttle Crab gotten by Kanavi as they go back towards mid lane, but Rift Herald is up across the table. We also have Dragon in 1 minute and 40 seconds. Kanavi's next moves are under the microscope. Cryin. You know, playing with his food a little bit.
It's too hard, right? I mean, we saw, especially from the last trade, where Cryin pretty much traded like a quarter of Yagao's health from under his turret, just with the fact that he can use Distortion into the Mimic and get so much of that damage down. So I think it's really hard to commit onto Cryin. Ultra Prime are looking for this Herald fight, considering that the power spike that they're on. So many key items coming out. Elk with the Gale Force, can Gale Force into the Moonlight Vigil. We know Cryin should be able to do a lot more to find picks with his Lute and Zeko, and they're looking to 369.
Kid 369 buffs the world ender. You do have the
what?
See, I don't even know how he survived that long, but he dies in the end after we knew that was coming over. Nice AoE flash from missing on the side there, and in the end, it's just one kill given over to Ultra Prime.
I mean, I get 369's thought process in terms of flashing closer to the Karma to try to get the shield to be able to get away. But again, I feel like just another misread in terms of the damage that's able to come out from up. A summoner completely wasted by them. Ultra Prime keep up the tempo. But this is what's going to be interesting to me, right? Because we have Dragon coming up in 20 seconds. Can JDG find a cross map? Because for up, you can already see them angling towards the Dragon for the fact that JDG have 2. I feel like JDG shouldn't really be looking for a contest right now with the advantages that they have, especially with 2 ults now down for the side of JDG. JDG should probably just look towards top.
They should, but they're not going to. They're going to look right to this contest here, as I feel like Kanavi really wants to use the cease and desist at some point in this game. They're chasing it down. There you go. He got the ultimate use, but he's got the Dark Passage right there, and Moonlight Vigil comes out. Elk flash it forward like we know he does. He's almost got all the health bars. Zoom's now coming in. Can they find something here? Cryin gets one. 369 goes over the wall. Zoom can't finish him off just yet, but he does finally. Then we see the engage onto Hope. The Arcane shifts over the wall. We see the charge as well. Gets Kanavi out of the fight. And even though they lose a couple members, JDG survive with the 3.
And that just wasn't the play to make in my mind for JDG. You've already started to fall behind in terms of gold and items that are coming out across the board. Some of Ultra Prime's champions are hitting their stride right now, like the LeBlanc coming on through, to where JDG's, especially the Azir, will definitely be outpacing Ultra Prime on the opposite side later on. For JDG, though, you lose some kills, you lose the Dragon, and you lose a mid lane turret. So
they're almost 6K down.
Yeah, it seems like we're on pace for JDG to keep trend of always bringing us to 3 games when it feels like they don't have to. We're going to see the replay here. Kanavi going so deep. We have the Lantern come up missing, and here from Elk, Moonlight Vigil into the flash, get more autos from the Infernum to be able to come out. Zoom follows forward, Cryin flashing in to finish off missing, and they're just able to run down the low health members of JDG because of what Elk had set up.
And Elk, very, very big piece to this so far, even with the flashes forward. I think it's absolutely huge. Now Zoom getting pressure on bot lane, will not die, but does lose the tower.
Now we need to keep an eye on where the Herald's going to come out for Ultra Prime. Already angling to play up towards his top side right now. Looks like they're just outright dropping it to try and get some charges down onto top lane. And heck, if they can find some picks here, that might even be 2 charges. They're completely taking away everything from JDG's topside jungle.
This Aatrox not having a great time. 369 really having a rough time of it. Even uses the Gore Drinker without getting a single heal from it. And JDG getting pressured out of their top side of the map. The charges will come down on the second tower here pretty soon as JDG move in to defend.
And Ultra Prime playing so well for these picks, playing right in the face of JDG. Elk not playing with any fear at all. They guarantee more picks, they guarantee more objectives. And Ultra Prime are transitioning this so smooth. And it goes back to something we hit on a little bit in game 1, that when JDG don't have a lead, they are also a team that pretty much continuously opts for the fight. Feels like that's most teams in the LPL, so
does.
it's kind of an overarching statement, but JDG team we don't see fall behind too much, which is why we don't really see this type of JDG where, especially 369, a player who has been having a fantastic split, has already had a pentakill this split, really coming up short 0-4-0 on the Aatrox.
Well, and it's interesting. It's not frustrating from the negative sense, but it's frustrating to see JDG go through these trials and tribulations when you know they can be so dominant, but then just out of nowhere in one of the games in their series, they're like, let's see what we can do. And then you see this kind of fall out where the teams always end up coming out with a win usually, besides ADG on that side. But it's these one-offs where they want to try something. The Vi coming in here for Kanavi, something a little bit new, bringing in the combination with the rest of the team with some of the pieces that worked good in game one is an iteration of JDG I feel like we see a lot this split.
Maybe this is just the old meme of just JDG want more stage games this split. JDG want more stage games. They want to give their sponsors more viewing time. They want to give it all. So they want to consistently go to 3 games as much as possible. They won't risk it against teams like EDG, which is why they 2-0 them. But against teams they think they'll beat, always go the distance.
They're trying to catch down Zoom here. He is pretty tanky, but I don't know if he's going to last much longer. He does go down. It will go over to Kanavi, and no response besides a cross-map play from Ultra Prime.
Yeah, they are looking to find a pick onto the top lane. They need to be careful. Missing's getting here quickly, though.
They do have the tower going down very, very quickly, though. Oh, no!
Show me the HP.
Come
on. Show me the HP observers.
There you go.
Never mind, it's
Cryin
gone.
gets it.
Yeah, that was disappointing. And now Ultra Prime going to pivot back to the mid lane. Able to get some nice damage down. And now, I mean, we're at a point, right, where I feel like it's really hard for JDG to be able to force any kind of fight. Their composition definitely being something that would prefer to be on an objective first. They would love for extended contests over mid-wave. We're getting a lot of value out of things like the Mystic Shot and the Sand Soldiers coming out from the Azir. But with the lead that Ultra Prime has had, we should really never be in that position. Ultra Prime will always have vision control for the objective. They really never need to go into any type of extended kind of standoff. And even then, Cryin can just distort forward, throw out his QE, probably chunk out Hope to half HP, and then JDG have to back off. So we're definitely at a point where it's looking rough for JDG. They've at least built themselves the buffer zone of the 2 early Drakes they picked up. So bit of a buffer zone, but ball is in Ultra Prime's court.
Exactly that. And I think you're starting to see the 2 item completions. You know, Shadow Flame coming up big for Cryin. Bloodthirster completed for Elk. It will be Dragon in priority for Ultra Prime. Is this where JDG just pulled the biggest brain move of them all? There's literally, you see, immediately,
Pigs are coming down.
Ultra Prime is sprinting towards this Baron, but it might already be gone before they get there. 3,000 health, going down solo. Hacker tries to get in the pit. Hacker does not get it. Kanavi secures the Baron. They try to flash over the wall. Cryin's on the other side. Kanavi is going to go down eventually, as it's still going to be Ultra Prime coming out with the fight win.
Okay, I mean, for JDG, you still got 3 Barons, so ultimately the question is not going to be what can they do with those Barons. Ultra Prime don't really extend their gold lead off those 2 kills, but they will be able to match the amount of dragons that JDG is on, so now can pivot back to that. You're catching the waves on the map right now, you're pushing in, you're going to be able to pick up another turret off of this as well. So Ultra Prime do find themselves a nice lead, and oh, nice chain coming out from Cryin.
He's been really good this game on the LeBlanc, really being a pressure point for Ultra Prime.
This
it feels
split,
like.
right?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the big overarching conversation to have, right? It is the fact that Cryin, to me, has been the standout for Ultra Prime.
Yeah, and especially with the level of expectations we came in with, he's just completely outdone them. But we see here, Kanavi able to get the smite onto the Baron. Missing is forced out by the strength of Zoom, and beautiful death sentence come out from ShiauC to make sure that Kanavi goes down as well.
Still, though, I will say, JDG taking down the gold lead a little bit at a time here. It was almost 6,000. Now it's still a little bit lower just because of that quick Baron take. But it's still a question of, can they get to the position in the game where their composition feels comfortable, feels okay? Because at this point, they're getting dragged around.
Yeah, it is looking rough, especially right now, where they're still trying to prioritize some gold onto Yagao. We're going to see what happened in the right. Oh
my God. All right, well, that'll do it.
Hey, that was why we were praising Cryin as well. There we go. We finally reverse caster Cursed. Cursed.
Cursed. It is a really nice pick off from Cryin, though, and it gives yet another death to Missing, who has been having a bit of a rough one here with 369 in the top lane as well. But still, I still feel like you can see the shadows of the machinations for JDG in terms of how they want to kind of play this game, and especially around the subjective control that's renewed now with this Baron buff. That is, by the way, a negative Baron power play, and Hope almost died.
Oh my god, yeah, already getting his flash. This LeBlanc can just do so much. This is what we talked, right? This is where JDG's comp feels very comfortable. Extended posturing, you right in front of them throwing down the Mystic shots, but the fact that Cryin can just weave over the wall, chunk him out with one combo, is what's really preventing JDG from making any headway.
Now, I guess the question is, do you favor JDG, say the next 10 minutes? If we go 10 more minutes into this game, do you even favor it? Because I feel like Ultra Prime still have a lot in the tank when it comes to the late game.
I mean, you have a GP and an Aphelios, right? So I feel like Ultra Prime definitely still have the tools to contend.
Level 16 Yagao.
If they're able to keep up this lead as well, I feel like it should get to a point where JDG just shouldn't be able to walk into Dragon, where they shouldn't be able to contest, and it will be hard, or they'll have to force their way in with Kanavi or 369, and they could so easily get bursted down. So I definitely feel like Ultra Prime have the tools to be able to win out this game comfortably, even if this game goes, say, another 10, 15 minutes. But JDG are trying their hardest to just funnel gold onto this Azir in a side lane.
Yeah, they really need to as well. The level difference is going to be huge if they can get it to come to fruition here. Kanavi working his way down towards bottom lane, though. Ultra Prime are going to be here 5 men strong to try to take this tier 2 tower.
Yeah, we see Kanavi trying to come off.
He's going for the big boy flank. He's going for the wraparound, but they catch the death sentence on 369. He does not have enough healing. Kanavi can't get to the fight either. Now he's there, but it's an unmanned fight. It's a 5v4. Kanavi has to back away.
Not able to find what they were looking for. 369 getting picked off too soon. My eyes were on Kanavi. I'm not sure if it was maybe ShiauC with like a fillet bringing him in to set that one up. And now Kanavi is heading for the hills.
Hacker might be in the rest of his team is pretty far away here. Kanavi just trying to get away, though. Does have the flash if he needs to, but one little charge will get him out.
Able to back off, able to buy time, but I mean, for Ultra Prime, that's only another turret, another pick. They're back to the 6K gold lead that you said JDG had closed the distance on, so the distance Mazel is back to when it was at its worst.
Man, this Aatrox pick, though, is just non-existent, it feels like, for 369, comparatively to what we were seeing last game.
I feel like non-existent would be a good thing.
Yeah,
I feel like
at this
non-existent would be 0-0-0, 369's up, he's vibing, he's listening to some, like, he's listening to some kind of, like, hard style or EDM or something, just having a good day. This is very much not that.
Not a good day indeed. At least not a good game. I'll stick with as it is 3.5 items now for Zoom. Look at that. He's like 4,000 gold over 369 on the top side. He just got IE as his 4th item. He completed it before Elk did.
Okay, so game 2 was Zoom's revenge. I still feel like the earlier Moonlight Vigil we got from Elk was like the biggest thing we've had so far this game, but Zoom has been massive in these team fights, and now we are back to where it started, the kind of extended standoff, Cryin trying to find an angle to get onto Hope, but Kanavi looking for an angle of his own, but Hacker smells something. Yeah, and he knows what's up.
The Vi really hasn't worked out, honestly. Not been able to get the catch outs that you would want to with this Vi pick. But there you go. Speaking about it, cease and desist comes out. JDG find a pick. Afterwards, though, Ultra Prime want to take this fight. They're grouped up. The Emperor's Divide is trying to separate. They get one, and here comes 369. JDG are taking this fight. No way, Jose! They come out with 5 members taking down 2 of Ultra Prime.
And they just completely burst out, Cryin not giving them a chance to answer, but look at the other 3 members come up. Upper going straight towards the Baron.
They got JDG backing now. The Baron is going down.
This damage.
It is burning. Double TP coming in.
It's gone.
That'll be 369 and Yagao. If they can get into the pit, the rest of the JDG are here. Can they clean house afterwards? Nobody is left if Ultra Prime die here. Looks like Elk will make it out. And Hacker over the wall. That'll be 2 Baron buffs secured if Hacker can make it out alive.
Oh, he's fine. He gets out. JDG not able to do it. Oh my god, huge heads-up play coming from Ultra Prime. The fact that in that moment, they're like, okay, we lost, but we know we have enough damage to take this Baron. really great from them, but we need to start off with this fight because Cryin just disappeared right in front of our
The
eyes.
cease and desist.
Looks to go in, now no longer has the distortion to be able to get away. Ult comes through, True Shot Barrage, and bam, they're all done. Here, I was so surprised. We see ShiauC just flash
This
in.
Emperor's Divide.
Emperor's Divide actually kind of misses because I don't think he's trying to separate the other
separation
members.
of space, I feel like, though, because that
No,
means Zoom has to
he
walk
was-
all the way around.
He was looking to knock back Hacker. There's no way he was looking to separate the other members. Sorry to do that to you, Yagao. I do not believe it. Still in the end, though, he brought the damage. JDG find the initial pick, and right, that was the first fight they were able to win.
And yeah, I think that's the biggest standout of that.
Mazel, you can't sell me on that.
It was. We'll have to go get the pro view. But in fact, the fact that JDG were funneling through Yagao on this Azir, and now we're starting to see the fruits of their labor come out.
Yeah, again, just the fact of he went in for the W and then the E, so not having the distortion up, not being able to mimic that ability. Once he's caught, he is just caught. Did have the flash available at the time, I think, to be able to get away, but the CC was just too long.
Yeah. It's the True Shot Barrage cease and desist combo, because you literally can't do anything, and then 3/4 of your health is gone.
It's just gone, yeah. So overall, nice work between them, but still Ultra Prime have the Baron, and they're still able to maintain the pressure, because despite the fact that they lost the fight, they're still at 5k gold. They still do have more items coming on through
How
across
does
the
it
board.
not feel that way?
Especially,
It doesn't feel like they're 5k in the lead. It doesn't
I don't know.
feel like they have the confidence in this, because JDG still just keep finding ways in.
I feel like it feels. Feeling all the feels here.
Are you able to feel the able feels?
Ultra Prime do feel very far ahead, right? Because we see them just completely pushing JDG into their base and really just pivoting like whatever control the map, and JDG are the team that have to answer. They have to follow Ultra Prime's stance, and a lot of it's coming out from the item advantages in top and AD carry. I do gotta say, JDG are putting up like an admirable fight to like cross map or look for these small windows like we saw engaging on the LeBlanc to keep it close. This game is definitely not done and dusted in any regards, but at the very least, Ultra Prime are the team who get to choose where their wards go. JDG do not have that luxury.
They do not. Fourth item completion for Yagao there will be the Marillanomicon coming through. So that'll be a nice little pickup, especially for the healing that could be coming out. But we got about 2 minutes for the next dragon. This will be Soul for JDG, as they have finally gotten another dragon under their belt and look to try to make this a win condition for themselves, as the Ocean Soul will help with their stacking and their scaling.
It will be phenomenal, even just like making it so maybe the damage from Cryin doesn't stick as well. If Ultra Prime can't find the decisive all-in that they're looking for, you can back up, you can heal back up, and keep just throwing out this damage. So we can see Ultra Prime right now clearing out vision around topside and kind of angling for a way to be able to get on top of Hope, but Hope paying a lot of respect now. And now with Yagao having the Void Staff, having things like the Morello and the Zhonya's finished, it feels like JDG are finally in a position where they're comfortable to contest for the fight.
I feel like Kanavi's just having so much fun this game. He's like, what kind of the weirdest angle can I possibly find with this? He's also completed the GA, so the engage is easier.
This Kanavi's Vi right now gives me the whole like 60-minute game Meteos Lee Sin vibes.
Yeah, it does,
where
actually.
He just sat in those brushes forever waiting for the pick.
Oh, Yagao! He tried to get the Emperor's Divide. He gets it onto 2 members. He goes golden. In the fight afterwards, though, it's a huge execution! And Elk has red and white, and JDG are dashed here. They lose 3 quick members, and that's a big team fight for Ultra Prime.
And this is one of the problems when you're trying to start off a fight with one of your squishy members like the Azir. Goes in, you're jumping straight into a GP, into an Aphelios. They love that. Even Cryin able to follow up on the back half. They're going to keep pushing forward and might even... Oh, Cryin!
Wow.
Woo!
If missing gets the flash out as well, Hope almost dies.
I can't believe they didn't kill anyone. That damage in that flank was huge. But they are just pushing forward to find the end.
They could, but it looks like they're just going to go for the inhib and back out, as Dragon coming up on the board. Another inhib tower will go down to Zoom. Maybe they look to push forward, though, as Missing now in some trouble here himself. Missing might just get caught, and that's another death to the support of JDG. They go for another inhib, and that'll be 2 back-to-back.
Ultra Prime now going to be able to back off. They're going to guarantee themselves their 3rd Ocean Drake. And, you know, just a second ago, Mazel, we were talking about how, maybe it doesn't look like Ultra Prime are 5k gold ahead. It's looked like it. They've just been waiting to flex their muscles. JDG got impatient, and it was the perfect time to flex your muscles.
It was. Speaking of flexing time there, we do get a replay of that fight, and Yagao just trying to pull out a miracle, but in a situation I don't feel like he needed to.
No, definitely not. Tries to go for it. Box comes out. Flay came out. Elk able to escape from the play as well. And then Elk left untouched. Cryin coming in with the burst to take him down. And you're just left in such an awkward position, again, looking for this engage with one of your squishy members. And you have so many ways to control zones and control space, especially with the cannon barrage layered on top of everything.
What do we say? It's back to the conversation about making sure they get all the stage games possible.
We're just, look, I just am not allowed to have 4 game days. It just isn't possible.
This will be my second 6 series game in a day, or 6 games,
okay,
whatever, words. Baron has started, though,
Baron.
as you already have Hacker, the rest of Ultra Prime here. Cryi's on the side, trying to bait them out, as you need to get Kanavi over the pit. Yagao trying to catch out Cryin here. They're not going to get in there, and they've already gotten the Baron for Ultra Prime. JDG, though, looking to take the fight afterwards. Moonlight Vigil goes wide. They get the re-knock up, and Cease and Desist comes out. You've got a huge team fight for Ultra Prime now. Cryin coming in on the back. JDG haven't found a single member yet, and Yagao will try his darndest, but he will go down, not finding a single kill. A triple for Zoom, and it'll be another clean fight for Ultra Prime.
And Ultra Prime give us more hope to believe in them for the playoff race. Ultra Prime to the moon, baby. We saw once again another huge performance coming out from them.
12,000 gold in the lead. It had been a little bit rocky in between, but it was a strong Game 2 performance from Ultra Prime. Hacker existed this time on the map, and the whole composition for Ultra Prime looked a lot more fluid than it did in game number 1. And JDG, they're just happy to get another game on stage.
Yeah, for JDG, mission accomplished. For Ultra Prime, mission accomplished. Everyone walks away happy. But we saw, right? When you have, we saw things come out like the first rotation Vi, which, I mean, we talked a little bit on cast, right? They're like, yeah, definitely feels like Vi is a place in the game and in the meta, but taking it early, then you have it with this comp of like the Azir, Ezreal, Karma, it feels a little bit disjointed. And it's like, okay, maybe it's fine. Let's see how JDG execute on it. Maybe it's like poke and then re-engage. And they just kept trying to angle for these picks. They really had no pressure in the early game coming out from mid-jungle, and it just allowed Cryin and Hacker to really exert their will, especially onto the bottom lane of JDG. And JDG, like, sure, they were able to get a bit back just naturally from the matchup and being able to you know, outpoke them and win out in the 2v2. When it came to the 5v5s, Cryin just able to do so much. Zoom became massive. Cannon barrage was almost always in a perfect place. And yeah, it felt like this really wasn't it for JDG, but Ultra Prime thriving in the 5v5s.
What a comeback game from Zoom. The revenge. The redemption.
The revenge arc.
It's huge. It actually is gigantic in this one, especially with the way he was put down in game number 1. And 369 getting a little bit of his own medicine given back to him that time around.
No, that was not his own medicine. That was 10 times worse. That was 10 times worse. 369. That was, I mean, he got punished. He got hammered on in that game. And him and missing, right? Just consistently going down, getting picked off. ShiauC as well, though. Like, kudos to ShiauC, man. ShiauC on Thresh just hits different, able to find the clutch death sentence system. Beautiful Flays able to come out and set up for some of these kills. And I felt like he was the initiator, starting things off early, him setting up, allowing for Hacker and Cryin to be able to come down and assist. Mid-game, we had that one huge Moonlight Vigil from Elk, which really set them up to find a bigger lead. And then the late game is when it started to become more of like the Zoom show.
It's really interesting, though, because there was such a quick ban towards the Karma, towards the Enchantress supports against missing in that first game. It comes out in game 2, and honestly, I don't know what to say about it. As you were kind of saying, like, I don't want to harp on it too much, but my goodness, what a night and day performance from JDG's bottom lane coming into game 2. And I think that's where you could go back and look at the opposite side focus and the way that Ultra Prime approached the early parts of that game that worked so well for them. A lot of the way that JDG approached game number 1.
I do feel like it is very hard to run a like volatile, like hard winning poke style, like squishy bot lane when you have a mid jungle that doesn't like do much early on, right? Because if you kind of swap and they have, let's say, the Lee Sin LeBlanc, well, then it feels like the Ezreal Karma is going to come out to a way bigger lead, and then maybe you could snowball that from like a huge mid-game advantage, right? But when Hacker and Cryin are able to influence the bot lane is where it feels like, okay, we're not able to see Hope and Mist and get off to the start that they want. So for JDG, I feel like you're definitely going to have to re-examine some things in terms of draft. But even in terms of play, right, we saw, I mean, even just thinking back to one of the later game team fights of Yagao looking for that engage, trying to come through, and it just seemed like, should really be doing this. Feels like you guys can be more patient, try and set up for Kanavi to be the one to start things off, and do the combo that we saw work out for them in the one fight they won.
Exactly that. 1-7 and 1-6 for the top and support, respectively, for JD.